All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Black Desert. So we have a really interesting topic that I want to talk about, and you guys might want to stick around for that. But before we start, check out those codes on the above, and the Arena of Arsha tournament, which was basically a stream thing on the official Black Desert channel. It was like a PvP thing that was going on, so they gave us codes, and it's pretty good. So if you want to check that out, put those codes in. I think it's for PC, NA, and EU. This is pretty good rewards. You could probably get maybe like 100 or 200 million silver out of it. So this definitely goes into, if you are a new player, you might want to put those codes in. But anyway, what are we talking about today? We are talking about making silver as a new player. And I wanted to bring this up because I get this question a lot. Just how do you do it? And as well as I've seen a lot of other content creators be asked this question a lot, and they kind of forget that new players don't really have the same level of knowledge, the energy contribution, and just like overall like gear that veteran players do. So what I wanted to do is break this down and talk about it in a way that, let's say I made a new account as of last month or something. What would I do? So first of all, I would make a season character. The reason why we do that is because, kind of like other games, you have a learning curve with it. And so season allows you to catch up and progress at a faster pace than, let's say, you were just playing on a non-season. So, number one, is it worth playing when the season is near coming to an end? The answer is yes, because even if you don't finish a season, you get a little bit of knowledge on what to do for the next season. And it's not like you lose your character in like ARPGs where it just becomes irrelevant. And in this game, your character will always be relevant. So even if you didn't finish, you can still play your character after season. And then when next season starts, you make another character. And there's a lot of other benefits of having multiple characters, which I've talked about in other videos as well, such as like energy batteries, fail stacks, and just like, you know, the most fun part of playing a video game is having multiple characters to play them. But yeah, so seasonal allows you to get caught up a little bit faster. And not only that, like various other games, they have a battle pass, which basically allows you to get rewards by completing checkboxes and stuff, and you'll get caught up a lot faster. So yeah, start a season. It doesn't matter when you start. Even if you start like a week before the season ends, at least you'll get some knowledge onto the next season, and you'll have that information ready to go for the next time. So you're already one step ahead of people who are like, oh, I'll just wait until the next season starts. You'll be one step ahead of those people. So after that, what would you do to make silver? Okay, so let's talk about this in a way of, I made my account last month, and what should I do? So, if I was a new player, what would I do? I would, first of all, I would start looking into life skills early. Because one thing people don't really understand is when you watch a streamer or another YouTuber and they're like, oh, I make 1 billion silver a day, you need to realize that their gear is a lot different than a new player. So it's like, they know the rotations, they know how to do stuff, they already have like all the pets and whatnot. So things that I would recommend doing as a life skill early on is gathering. So this is something that everyone can do, especially new players. Gathering is one of those introductory life skills where it's just like chop a tree, gather meat, or gather blood for all the other things, right? So I think gathering is probably the best life skill you could do, as all the way up from like day one all the way until you end your BDO career. So it's like, what do you do? That is something you want to figure out early on. So in my opinion, gathering meats is probably the most profitable. And then after that is probably like logs, and then bloods, and then everything else. So usually I tell people don't sell the raw materials once you gather them, because you could turn it into like higher, or you can make more profit by cooking or doing alchemy, processing it. But if you are a new player, we're talking about like, I made my account last month. I need silver. I need gear. It's not a bad idea to just sell the meat or like whatever gathering materials you get early on, especially because if you are a new player, you're probably going to have a lot of things like hards and sharps, and these materials people tell you not to sell, but realistically you probably won't need them until later on in the game. And if you don't need it now, but you're like a new player, this like 100 million to like 500 million silver is actually a lot to get a good head start as a new player. So overall, by gathering, you'll get a lot of these materials, and you probably will need it later. But if you don't need it now, you could sell it. And yeah, so after that, what do? You get a lot of other meats and materials from here. So it sells for quite a bit. And like an hour of gathering, even at like a lower to mid-tier gathering, you can make like 100, 200 mil an hour, and it'll be pretty solid. So yeah, gathering is something you could do early on, and I would recommend selling the raw materials early. But once you get a little hang of the like whole life skill process, like once you figured out how to gather in a like efficiently, you might want to look into expanding those profits. So let's say you gather 5,000 meat an hour or whatever at mid-tier level, and then you could start looking into cooking. And I would recommend cooking over alchemy at early to mid game, because cooking will make you more profit. You could learn how to do imperial deliveries early, and it's just overall faster and more profitable. Alchemy is not bad, but it's slower to do because you don't have mass alchemy. And making potions and elixirs is not really profitable. The reason why people do it is because they are at the end game, and you make like potions and elixirs to grind for more money later on. So it's not bad. It's just, as a new player, you don't really need to do alchemy early on. That's just my opinion. And processing is one of those AFK activities like what we're doing now. And I'm just literally heating up stuff because I just need to do something while I'm recording. But anyway, so yeah, gathering is a very good early on money maker. Turn that into like cooking, and you make more profit early on. You don't even need you don't need a lot of knowledge for it. You just need to like Google, how do I do this, and find a recipe that you think will be profitable. So when I say get into cooking, let's say you gather, or you've been gathering for a few weeks now, and you know more or less like some of the good spots. And what I would do then is go look up how, or like what things you want to cook. So how do you do that? Go to the central market, go to, I don't know, meals or something. This is a good idea. And then just figure out what the meals are that you want to do, and then look at prices and see which ones might be the most profitable at the time. Keep in mind that whatever server you're on, prices are probably different. So in my opinion, Arihaza meals are pretty good to make. Valencia meals are also good to make. And just things that are like, look like they make more money. But in my opinion, cron meals are always used for pretty much everything. So figure out what you do. And so like once you figured out like, okay, this meal looks good, I want to make this one. So what do? There are websites like the BDO Codex that you could look up where to gather materials. But if you already have it, you hit your F2 in game or equivalent on console, and then you hit the crafting notes right here, right? It's basically like a mini in-game wiki, right? And then you want to go cooking, and then you go to like, let's say we're gonna do Valencia meals. You click this, it'll tell you how do you get it, what meals you need, or like what ingredients you need for that one. And then you figure that out, and if you like, oh, how do I make this? You click that, and then like it'll take you to the next tab of how you make that. So basically find something that you think might be fun to do, and then just do that. So eventually you will profit, and that's a very good early on. So for everyone who has a little bit of experience in the life skill department, let's say you are finishing up your season now, right? And you're roughly around like 230, 240 AP. I think that is the cap for season. Oh god, hold up. Well, let me see. Okay, so the next thing you're going to want to do to make silver early on is start setting up a node empire. Now, obviously, as a new player, you won't have as many contribution points as I do. And basically, the way you get them is by byproducts of various like life skills, like cooking, for example. So that's why I recommend doing that early on. So, for example, I do farming a little bit. I'll actually do everything, but for the sake of like example, you see how you could turn this in for contribution points and farming XP. All the other life skills have one for theirs, like contribution plus whatever life skill you got it from. And then you turn it in, and then you get contribution points, right? So after you do that, you get contribution points, and then you start picking up nodes that you think are important. I have some videos of mine. They're kind of old, but I mean, I haven't really changed it in years. So let's say you like cooking, right? And grapes is a bottleneck for you for some reason. You could put workers on nodes and get the grapes from there. So for example, once you get them, that's one less thing you have to go gather yourself, and you have automated workers to get them for you. That way it makes whatever meal you're making a lot easier. So set up a worker node empire early on. That is one mistake that I didn't really do when I first started, because I didn't really understand the concept of it until later on. It's just like somehow clicked. But then, yeah, so basically what you do is when you explore it, you get a node, then there'll be like sub nodes on it, and then you figure out like, oh, this node has this item, and then you get workers by going to a town, and then there's a node manager or worker person. Then you could basically hire them to go collect materials for you and then bring it back to your storage. So that's how it works. It's pretty simple. Then for all of you grinding out there, and let's say you came from another MMO and all you know how to do is grind circles and make money, here's what I would do. I would go to this monster zone info thingy, look up what AP you're at, so you could ascending or descending order from lowest to highest AP. I actually made a video recently on my favorite grind spots, and I thought I did a pretty good job explaining a lot of it. But basically, just figure out what AP you're at level, like what AP yours at right now, and then try out those spots. I think they're pretty efficient and accurate, so just from my testing, it's safe to say you could look at those and try to grind spots that you think might be very good at giving silver or things you want. So for example, let's say you want artifacts, right? Where is it? Let's say you want artifacts. You might want to grind here instead of a specific spot that like only drops to 1, because the longer you grind at some place, you'll eventually get it, but there's a higher chance of you getting something you want at like a place that drops them at a faster rate. So that's one thing that baits a lot of people in this game. It's just like, let's say for example you want a magic or like an accuracy artifact. Thornwood will give you the ones you want specifically. However, the drop rate is a lot lower, whereas if you go to Kratuga, the like rate of you getting what you want is slightly lower, but you get a lot more artifacts an hour. So I think overall, like let's say you grind 10 hours for an accuracy artifact at Thornwood versus 10 hours over here, I think you honestly have a higher chance of you getting it at Thornwood or Kratuga because they drop more an hour. So that's just my opinion and my experience grinding like a lot of spots in this game. And so yeah, grinding, just look up what AP you're in or just ask people, but be very careful when you do this. When you ask people how much silver they make at a spot, just take it with a grain of salt, myself included, because my gear is different from yours, so I could tell you how much silver I make an hour at X spot, but it's one of those things you have to figure out for yourself. And if you feel like it's too difficult for you, just try another spot. It's not even that big of a deal. Once you get more AP, try it again, and then you find either you like it or you don't. So other tips I can give you as a new player and you're just trying to make silver is log in to the game daily and get your rewards. Even if you don't use it, just sell it on the market. It's fine. Like, if you don't use it, just sell it. Find a guild early on. This is one thing I didn't really do because I didn't know how long I was going to be playing this game, and here we are. But finding a guild generally gives you a lot of bonuses. Like, there are passive stat buffs that you can get just by being in a guild. Guilds have like buffs for like gathering, grinding, and everything. So that just enhances it for a little bit. And then finally, work on your family fame. And this one gives you basically money for logging in the game every day. So basically, combat fame is how many characters you have at X level. So if you want to max it out and just get all your characters to like 60 or something, I know in most MMOs, everyone just has like one main character. And it's like, okay, so I'll have a main character and that's all I want to play. That's cool. But I would just recommend having all the characters available because, one, you get to try out new characters. That's like literally the concept of gaming, is to have fun, right? And then two, you get to use them as batteries, as we call it. So that way they just sit there and then collecting you daily money and holding fail stacks and whatever. Lifeskills is more money, and special fame is knowledge just by playing the game. So every day you should be making some silver. No matter what bracket you're in, you're making some daily silver, which is always good. So just by logging in, easy money. You get money from your guild by guild payouts and your contract, which everyone in the game, if you're in a guild, you have like a contract. It's like you get X amount of silver daily, collect that money, easy. And then just by doing things. And then one other thing in terms of life skills that I'd recommend doing after we talked about gathering and cooking and all that stuff, processing, is this is one of the biggest tips that I could give people. If you are on BDO, whether you're actively playing or you're kind of like semi AFK while you're making lunch or something, or you're at work, always be doing something in this game. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you leave your computer on overnight, be fishing or I don't know, horse training. Do something that will make you silver at all times. And so what I used to do was I overnight fishing, and you just catch fish, and then when you wake up in the morning, just sell that, and then you just make some money. It's not a lot of silver by AFK fishing overnight because obviously actively playing the game is a lot more money than AFK, and it should be. But I believe that you should just always be doing something if you are online. It doesn't matter what you're doing, just do something. And so having some sort of income in this game versus just standing there doing nothing. Yeah, you get it? Yeah. So those are my tips as a new player, what you should do. I know that was just a very basic tip. Ooh, we're actually almost at Guru 34 processing. Pog. But anyway, yeah, I know there's a lot of information in this game, and this was just a very general basic of it. But if you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comments. I've been playing this game for a long time, and I do want to help like newer players get into the game with guides and stuff. So I do have a Discord as well. You could find that somewhere down below, a link in the description. And if you have any questions, we have a Black Desert channel in the Discord, so you guys can ask me questions. I'll try to answer it as fast as I can. But we could also leave it in the YouTube comments, and then maybe someone else could get you as well if I don't see it. So with that said, hope you enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching. In December, I am trying to upload 1 to 2 videos every single day, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. And if you are new, welcome. Hopefully you come back and watch some more videos. So with that said, see you guys later. Maybe see you tomorrow.